Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the beautiful, beautiful championship you've all been waiting for. And every Sunday has been that one beautiful rose that you've always had. Welcome to the ERA Sunday Championship. And we're in for an absolute treat here at the beautiful circuit of Donington. Yes, you heard me right. We're going to be running through the English countryside with some great racing. That being said, I do want to take a moment of your time, as you will notice there will be a couple of cars out in black liveries. And that is, unfortunately, this week we had not one but two passings. One of them being Tom Malami's brother, who unfortunately lost his life today. And we here at the ERA do take our hats off and wish the family all the best, and that our hearts are with them. All our thoughts and prayers are with them. It's been a very difficult moment, and for everyone that has lost, we do reach out and say that we are with you. We keep you in our thoughts, prayers, and minds on this very, very difficult race. But that being said, we're also going to see them back out on track to do racing in on it, which is always great to see. And once again, it's going to be a difficult one for the families, but we are going to enjoy some great racing yet again. Taking a look to our virtual grandstands, we do have a couple of people to have a bit of fun out here. We have got Paul Venter first into the comments, who's looking to have a bit of fun. And Antonio Gamble, good to have you. Great to see you back out on the virtual grandstands, ready to support our amazing set of drivers around a very difficult circuit that some people love, some people hate. I personally enjoy it. Pit lane, though, however, is out of the final corner. So you're going to go through Melbourne hairpin into the final corner, sit on the left-hand side, dive into the pits. It is on the straight, so be very cautious of that. As you're coming out of pit lane, though, you will be coming into red gate, which is literally into where people turn. So you've got to be wide and very well aware of the situation of trying to not run into your competitors there. That has been a massive, massive talking point here at ERA to make sure that we don't have any of those bad situations coming in. But it is something that may affect the race, because we do have that mandatory pit stop that drivers will need to keep in mind. That being said, though, while our qualifying goes underway, we will talk a little bit about the championship thus far, because, well, we're 2 rounds in, and still plenty of racing to go in the championship. But so much has gone on that really keeps us in for the fun. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I hope you're ready, because we're in to our qualifying sessions as the track goes green for our competitors and everyone heads out onto the circuit. So, taking a look at our championship standings at current, we have got the likes of Tomo Malami running out in first. He's trying to make his way through on Circa as first on track. But Diamond category, let's see. It is Ben Hicks leading out the pack with Christoph Peterson in second. David Schutten running in third place at current. He's hoping to make a big impact here for the race and hoping it's going to work out in his favor. David Schutten in third place, Ernest Umbriggs in fourth, along with Jens Nelson, Stephen Milano, James, Jason Farmer, Ruan Heineke, Glenn Smith, Sean Skitter, Mahath Musa, Camille Son, Teddy Blonder, and Thomas Mouton, rounding out in 14th. Moving on to our platinums, though, we have got so far Paul Venter leading out the championship. Hungaroring wasn't the best for him, but Kota came out with a big point. So you're going to be happy with that one. Lucas Collab running in second place. David Brodsky in third. Sebastian Lucasen in fourth. With Modern Spritzer, Flo Scub, Lewis Knight, Richard Finiera is going to be also moving up. He's in 8th place with Tomo Malami in 9th, who is racing out in the black livery. The entire cyber racing team going and showing a bit of support to the family. And Tomo, losing his brother, is going to be racing in spirit and looking to walk away with the checker flag here tonight, which is great stuff. And that being said, I do want to point out, I give massive, massive props to the driver, because not only is he out there on track, he's also utilizing our in-driver cam. And if you want to see someone that is high in spirits, ready to go and ready to push, there he is. There is Tamo Malami, who is going and riding it out. And good to see him out there. Definitely, I take my heart. I'll take huge amount of respect for him on that running order. Good to see him out there. Christian Fingler runs in 10th. Nicholas Cora, Nico Lawrence, Chris Wall, Hanzo Foss, Freddie Morelli, Skurt Reynolds, Christoph Orlowski, and Sebastian Robertson. Moving on to our golds, it's David Roth leading out the championship with Miles Stone, Marco Vergo, Ulrich de Jager, Finn van Holland, John Spriggs, Federico Calgero, Rob van der Heever, Patrick Biles, Aaron Shingle, Finley Gamble, David Young, Nicholas Porras, and Cedric Muir. So, while times are being set on the board at the moment, Glenn Smith is first to put his time on the board with a 1:27. That beats out by Jason Farmer, who's out there going and battling his way through. David Shuden goes and puts himself in second as Ernest Lumbriggs in the 488 goes and puts his way up towards top. I mean, this is absolutely just incredible, and good to see that the drivers are finding out there. And it's just incredible to see the pace. Nicholas Cora up into second place. Sean Skitter up into third. Stephen Milana James in fourth. David Shuden in fifth. Jason Farmer, Antonio Gamble, and quite a few other drivers' favourites going and showing off what they can do. The Griffin Sim Racing team has got a lot of work to do. Christoph Peterson out there in the Ferrari, the 488, has got it all hitched in for Donington. New colours being worn on the car, and now trying to make it work. But it's the ERA Highway Patrol that goes and fights their way up through the order, which is great to see. Now, the little thing, we do talk about the in-car driver cams. Now, we know Tamo Malami and the likes of Chris Wall went and they were the first to implement. There's that's Jens Nelson as he makes his way through. Here's Chris Wall. Now, we do know Chris Wall was part of our original driver cams, along with Tamo Malami, which is great. But now there is a bit of a thing going on where, well, we've been investigating different ways of how to do it. So there's Chris Wall keeping it all calm, collected, and clear. But we've also managed to sneak in another camera into a driver's den. And it is going to be this man over here who's parked, waiting to get going. And that is Paul the Wall Fenter, now shown in full HD. So we have got 3 drivers currently utilizing the cams, which is always fantastic. Big shout out to them, and nice to have all 3 drivers going and being a part of our new system being implemented here at ERA to bring you closer to the action. Ernest Lumbriggs, though, leads out the pack with 126.5, but take a look at Peterson, 0.030, as getting a little bit more pace underneath, trying to improve every step of the way and just getting quicker and quicker on the way through. And Peterson has earned that number 1 on the car, been a multiple champion, but Tamo Malami out for blood this time around and going and riding in high spirits with the family, and are really doing everything it can, showing why the Malami family has been a true through and through fighter, just like his brother, which is just incredible to think about. And man, I just got to say, massive, massive guts to him to go out there. You can see trying to get up through the final corner, going to go wide and flat on the power to try and give it the ultimate go. Christoph Peterson trying to move up through the ranks, currently 0.5 quickest overall. Can he keep up at the pace? Sean Skitter will come across the line. He moves up into 8th place. Federico Calgero trying to get a little bit more pace underneath him, and hoping that's going to work out in favor. Going to be some hard pushing though, 0.1 up as Peterson now coming across the line, utilizing Chris Wall, and he's managed to lock in that first place. I mean, that is just incredibly quick for the drivers, and they're hoping that it's going to keep going this way the whole time as Christoph Peterson holds first place. Ernest Lumbriggs into the pits. Glenn Smith, who was our original leader of the pack, now trying to carry on some momentum, lying in 4th place as he tries to pick up a little bit of time. Lost it, unfortunately, into the corner. Jason Farmer for the Griffin Sim Racing team, currently in 9th position, up 0.3 on his personal best. James Nelson, a little bit further down, is in 12th, trying to put the hammer down a little bit earlier. Can he get the momentum at the moment? Gets across the line, gets into 6th place. Great running on his part to keep the movement up. So drivers are starting to pick up the pace. They are starting to figure out what's going to work for them and how are they going to keep up the momentum. All tough situations that's going through. Now remember, in this championship, if you're new to watching, if you're new to it, glad to have you here. Welcome to ERA. Welcome to the next home for you. It's your home away from homes here at Evolution Racing Academy. We have got our different boards on the side. You'll see whatever's white, that is our diamonds. Those are our fastest of the fast. Those are your pro drivers out there. Our silvers, those are our platinums, incredibly quick drivers. Our pro-ams that are really stepping up the pace, and the red is our gold drivers. We use a licensing system that works out whether you are, well, depending on how fast you are, and puts you into the correct class so you can race and learn the best way possible with people on your skill level. You start off in iron, you build up your rank, and you can climb up through it all. Fantastic to see, allowing more of a pro-am sort of go, but at the same time giving it that bit of a learning side as well, which here at ERA we pride ourselves on teaching, learning. Academy is the name, as James Nelson going and teaching the rest of the field as he gets by. Great to see a couple of cars in pit lane, and that was quite a few of them. Nicola Lawrence actually waiting as well. You will notice that in pit lane they'll wait up a little bit and they'll allow the drivers to come through, get their hot laps done, and move on. Now that is allowed in practice and qualifying, and it's a good show of respect to everyone out there that are putting in some of those lap times to continue on the momentum, to keep going and move their way up through the order. So good to see it out there. Bit of a discussion on that point, but good to see them battling it through. David Roth, though, making his way around in the 488. The Cause Banquet in 14th will be jumping up one position. It was from 15th, now going and moving his way in 14th. Finley Gamble, oh, the 2ID getting it out of shape into the wall and up against the wall. Man, oh man, that must have hurt. For the Ferrari, Federico Calgero for the Cyber Racing, going in the memorial colors and really showing off what they can do. Is currently lying in 25th position, trying to get himself a good run out. It's 0.2 up on his personal best. Will come across the line and does move up into 19th. Going to be rather happy on that one. Jen Nelson is going to be the next one. Heat, remember, he's in 3rd place. 0.2 up over his personal best and puts himself into 2nd over Ernest Lumbriggs at the moment. So drivers are picking up the pace. They're starting to get that little bit of momentum underneath them. Nicholas Porras for the AMR Red Bull Racing, looking to power his way through towards the sharp end of the field and ensure that he can keep going. Pulling out that inner Max Verstappen prior to baby born speed. That would be the main one to go for. So Nicholas Porras will be coming across the line, puts himself into 31st out of 36 cars on the grid. Man, oh man, monstrous field to have here on the beautiful circuit of Donington. And good to have all the drivers battling their way around and absolutely flooring it. Ben Hicks of the ERA Highway Patrol trying to get a little bit more momentum underneath him, and he will be keeping an eye out on this Lexus of Toma Malami, who is absolutely giving it horns, hard braking into the corner, late apex, and flat out onto the power. Can he get a bit more pace underneath him? Will come across the line and just managing to put in not his best lap time, but got a lap time to work with him. It's always a tough call at this point to try and just get yourself going, and we'll have to see how the drivers figure their way through, as keeping on the power at this point, everyone hoping to get a little bit more pace underneath them and ensure that they keep up the momentum. Drivers, though, are going to be very cognizant of how these lap times are going to pile in, how they're all going to work, because ultimately you don't want to be on the losing wicket right now. You want to try and keep yourself going and ensure that you stay in for the long fight. So this is going to be a bit of a wild one for him. Ernest Lundberg, so feeling that pressure, is out into second place in the beautiful colours of Lightning McQueen, the number 95, hoping to bring in the big guns here and catch up to Christoph Peterson with that 126.020. And Lundberg's with that 126.4 as his personal best. Can he better it though? Will come across the line, both in the 488s, and does so, betters his own time. Personal best, he's managed to get a 126.325, but not close enough to Christoph Peterson. Sean Skitter out there in Logistical Nightmare Racing Honda NSX will be picking up the pace. He's currently 0.1 up on his personal best. Jason Farmer was up on his personal best. Everyone else starting to taper off though on their times as it all starts to tick over. 1 minute 50 left for our qualifying run. Jason Farmer, utilizing the tow from Chris Wall, will move himself a little bit forward, but not enough to make the impact into that top 5. He sits in 10th. Skurt Reynolds out on circuit, trying to make his way through in the Heritage Mustang, and is absolutely having a jaw out here. You can see that Peterson going and moving back. So he's gone and waited on the back end there. Bit of an interesting one for Peterson. And does bring himself to the pits. Obviously running into a little bit of an issue. Stayed offline and wanted to just get himself all organised. Finley Gamble, though, out in 19th position, hoping to get the power down and really take the climb through the order. Tomo Malami out in 4th, currently on his personal best. Is it going to be enough for him to maintain that drive as he looks to launch his way through? Oh, a bit of a tank slapper onto the drive. Really putting the power down. You can see the concentration in his eyes as he comes across the line. Does improve his personal best, but not getting the lap time he wants. You can see a little bit of frustration there, but still going to be quite happy with it. Hydration, always key for our drivers, and always nice to see that people are keeping rather hydrated. We've currently got Paul Fenter, Chris Wall, and Tomo out battling their way through as we keep an eye on Sean Skitter, who tries to get some momentum. Each of the drivers just trying to figure out that next little bit of pace. Sean Skitter comes across the line, not able to improve his lap time, and will wait it out. Hanso Foss comes across next as the big Bentley going and doing a great job. As we've got Jason Farmer currently 0.1 up on his personal best. Lucas Collab, we haven't spoken much about him. He is out there in the blue Merc, currently 0.2 up on his personal best. Sebastian Robazan also for the Danza BMW V2. And Sebastian has been a proper runner for some time in the endurance side of things. Hanso Foss out there in the Bentley, still trying to put a time in on the board. A couple of drivers hoping to get that little bit more pace to them. Sean Skitter, 0.1 up on his personal best. Jason Farmer, 0.1 up. David Roth is 0.1 up on his personal best as he makes his way through the chicane. Oh, cutting it very, very close to those track limits, but definitely flirting his way through. Saying, listen, I'm not going to hang around at this point. I want to put a time on the board that gets me into that top 15. And so far, Sean Skitter, Jason Farmer, all still doing times. Chris Wall, Mahayath Musa, unfortunately, is in 16th position, not as high as he wanted. Will come across the line. Roth currently putting a hammer down. Can he move up into the top 15? And does so into 12th position. He's going to be happy with that one. Nico Lawrence will be coming around the corner and puts the power down in the Lamborghini. The Track Tool team will be happy with that 20th position as we do see Sean Skitter moving off circuit. And Hanso Foss, big upgrade for him. 0.5 of a second up and is now into the running order. So great to see. Going and picking up the pace here at Donington for some beautiful runs. A little bit of a drift across for Hanso Foss as well as we get ready to rock and roll here at the beautiful circuit of Donington. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, absolutely phenomenal to have you all here. And welcome, welcome, welcome to the race. Welcome to the championship of championships, welcome to some of the fastest drivers in the world. And I kid you not, we have got all the way from nearly every single continent out here. We've got from America. We have got the likes of, we've got Africa, America, Britain. We have got everywhere. Italy, the entirety of Europe is coming into this. And this is only our server 1. This is our faster of the drivers, our platinums, diamonds, and golds. We still have a server 2 that's got more of our slower, but yet more of the learning drivers to come through, and we're expecting to see more of them coming into the gold and the gold, platinum, and diamond servers. I mean, this is just great stuff to see, and honestly, I'm really looking forward to the race at hand, and hopefully you two are looking forward to it as well. So, that being said, taking a look over to our virtual grandstands, because man, oh man, it is wild out there. Good to see you guys. Antonio Gamble, we've got a tourist out there, and also Vietia Buerta. Hello to Vietia Buerta, who's going and enjoying the show as well. I know that he's been cheering on for the likes of the Logistical Nightmare Racing team. So we got so much support out there, and I'd like to know from all our drivers and, well, to the drivers that are watching, to the spectators that are out there, who do you think is going to win the race? Who's going to be the one to watch out for? Who is going to be the top running order for the ERA Sunday Championship out here tonight? And it's going to be a wild one. It's going to be an exciting one. It's definitely the one we've all been waiting for. That being said, we're going to be going and, oh man, I've just gotten an alert from Paul Fenter because, you know, we go and talk about people able to get themselves all sorted out. Well, Paul Fenter has found where Tim has kept the camera. He's now moved it and is just trying to shuffle it around just to make things a little bit more fun. So, thanks, Paul. Appreciate it. Maybe a bit of a thumbs up next time. I appreciate that you... There we go. He's got the thumbs up, at least. Ah, man. Yeah, at this point, when we go to Australia, I think I'm just going to rotate the camera around so he's upside down the whole time. I think that's going to be the best option. Let me know out there in the virtual grandstands if you guys are pretty keen on that idea. But that being said, let's go down to our grid, where we are starting to get drivers ready to rock and roll. And this is going to be a bit of an interesting one, because if you are joining us for the very first time, a massive, massive welcome to you guys, first of all. But you will also notice that there is time penalties. Now, why on earth is there time penalties? Stop, go, 10 seconds and such. Well, let me give it to you on this one. So, your top runners that finish in first, second, third place definitely gap the field. Now, how do we bring that closer? Well, they've got to overcome a new challenge. And that's the one thing here at ERA, is giving a new challenge. And that is by adding a time penalty, which they will serve during the pit stop. 15 seconds for first, and 10 seconds for second, 5 seconds for third, per class. Fair enough. That being said, if you were naughty and you had the, well, stewards going and wagging the finger at you, you will earn yourself a bigger penalty. Much like Nicholas Cora with that 45 seconds added on to the time. The precinct definitely not happy about that one. We'll definitely give them a bit of a talking to as well. With an hour's worth of racing, they got one mandatory pit stop, and they will need to serve these times during the course of the race. It's always a tough time out there for drivers to get themselves going, and we are starting to see more and more drivers just starting to organize themselves. I mean, it's the main thing to do, is get ready to rock and roll as the time goes on. Take Paul Fenter for this option. Still trying to put his gloves on, just climbed down into his rig, and there he is on stream. And just giving a bit of a thumbs up to the crowd. Always great to see the drivers enjoying. And yeah, just shows you a bit of a relaxation out there for them. We've also got the likes of Tomo Malami, who will bring up as well. He's a bit more relaxed, keeping it together. And our hearts and prayers go out to Tom Malami for the entire family. And he is doing an absolutely great job, lying in 4th place. And it's just always amazing to see the tenacity of the drivers and teams out there that are really looking to claw their way through and be a part of the picture. So big shout out to him as well. A little bit further down, another one of our cameras that will be showed is the likes of Chris Wall. And Chris, always a big fun to chat to, was commentating previous season and now is out racing once again. He's quite happy to be out there. Bit of smoke coming out of the mouth as well, and that's purely on the fact of the vape was close enough to make it work. Otherwise, you know, there it is. That's why he's smoking like Thomas the Tank Engine. Don't worry. He's not overthinking at this point. It's always great to see our drivers going and giving it everything they got. Okay, that being said, folks, we are going racing soon as they're out on the outlap. And let's quickly take a look at the beautiful circuit of Donington for the ERA Sunday Championship Round 3. It is Christoph Peterson out in 1st place with Ernest Umbriggs in 2nd. It's Jens Nelson in 3rd. Torma Malami in 4th. Glenn Smith in 5th place, followed by Ben Hicks, Sean Skitter, Nicholas Cora, David Rochke, Jason Farmer, Chris Walls, Stephen Milano, James, David Roth, Skirt Reynolds, David Shooten, Christian Fengler, Mahayath Musa, Paul Fenton, 18th, Finley Gamble, and Nico Lawrence rounding out our top 20. Miles Stone, Federico Calgero, Christoph Rolotsky, Lewis Knight, Ulrich Diaga, Hanso Foss, Lucas Collop, Sebastian Luxon, John Spriggs, and Nicholas Boris, Aaron Schigel, along with David Young, Rob van der Heerden, Sebastian Robson, Finn van Holland, and Cedric Moore, rounding out our pack here for the race of races. 36 GT3s are lining up to go. 36 GT3 drivers ready to give it everything they got. A time success penalties added to those that dominated and won. 15 seconds gets added on if you came in 1st place, 10 seconds if you came in 2nd, and 5 seconds if you came in 3rd. If you got the naughty finger waved at you, you had times added on, which, as with T. Ernest Umbriggs came 3rd, so he got 5 seconds chucked on him. Ben Hicks has got 15 that he's going to have to deal with as well. David Shooten, who came 2nd of our Platinums, scored that 10 seconds. Taking a look over to our Platinums, we got Paul Fenter with 15 seconds he's going to have to contend with to try and move forward. And then we have got Skirt Reynolds with a stop-go 10 second. Paul having a bit of a naughty finger getting way at him. Nicholas Cora in 8th has got a monstrous 45 seconds to deal with. Taking a look over to our virtual grandstands, we do have another Griffin Sim Racing driver, and actually no, that's Logistical Nightmare Racing. It's Terence Ferreira is going to be shouting out and saying hi. But as we make our way around for the final time, before we go out in anger, it is lights on, lights on, lights on, as our drivers get ready to rock and roll. Christoph Peterson leads out the pack, and with Ernest Umbriggs, his old rival, lined up next to him, and lights off, we go racing for round 3 as they charge in anger towards turn 1 with Christoph holding the inside line. Ernest Umbriggs trying to defend his line. Jen Nelson up into 3rd place. Has got Tormo Malami. Oh, we got contact behind. Big contact behind, as we do have quite a few cars playing a bit of a rocketeer down. Jason Farmer, Stephen Milano, James Finley Gamble, Nico Lawrence, all getting involved in that bit of contact off the start of the race, and not ideal circumstances as they all tumble their way through. I mean, let's quickly go back and try and find out. This is number 47, and this is Lucas Collab, who landed up with a bit of contact. I don't think he was part of the rocketeering effort that came through. It was most certainly a Ferrari that went. Oh, he just got pins 3 wide, and Hanso Foss got it in the door there. But chaos was further up the road, that's for certain. Let's see if we can try and figure out who that was. This is the 18 car that landed up. Sorry, this is Jason Farmer. So Jason Farmer putting the pressure on Chris Wall, and that's the 787 getting tapped around. Chris Wall gets it. And the 787, unfortunately, being bounced around by Chris Wall, taking a lot of the impact there and darts off. So a few cars needing a bit of repair work after that, and the rest of the field able to get up and going. Sean Skitter a little bit further down is seeing the top 5 run away. Nicholas Cora on the back of him. David Walshke trying to make up a little bit of time, as we do have Finley Gamble, who's gone and lost it down the field. We're trying to quickly take a look. There he is, the 2ID team with a lot of damage on the car. Chris Wall into the pit lane, trying to get himself sorted out, and definitely not going to be a happy camper to that one. We're going to quickly try and see as he comes in for the pit stop, and just trying to gear himself up, waiting for the repair time. Not ideal circumstances, but Chris is going to try and get his head back into it and get out and driving. K&H Motorsport, hello, hello, hello. Good to have you out here in the virtual grandstands and supporting the sim racers on this great effort at the moment. Tom Malami running in 4th place. He's got Jens Nelson, his teammate, right ahead of him. But they do have Glenn Smith trying to chase him down. And then Sean Skitter dealing with Nicholas Cora, as Christoph Peterson, Ernest Umbridge, Jen Nelson, all starting to open up their gaps and starting to run away. Ooh, bit of contact for the 98 and the 646. Oh, Scott Reynolds going all over the show, as it looks like the two of them came to blows. So let's go to the 646. And this is, unfortunately, Sebastian Lucasen. So Sebastian Lucasen out there in the Aston Martin, the ERA Highway Patrol, definitely not having a good time out here. See Skirt Reynolds falls off ahead of him. Skirt comes back, and oh, that contact. Just quite a heavy one. And he is venturing into the distance. Reynolds getting the hit. But it is, unfortunately, one of the ERA Highway Patrols calling 999 at this moment, trying to get some repair work done to the car. Stephen Milana James up in 11th is on the back of David Roth as they try and make their way through. So a few bit of contacts happening here tonight. A few bit of drivers going and battling out. But that being said, Sebastian Luxon into the pit lane and just trying to limp that car back at the moment. Tough racing out there. Do want to take my hats off to is Chris Wall. He's currently back out on track. And, well, I don't get to say it too often to many of the drivers. But, well, for Chris, I just want to say a well done. Keep it up, buddy. You're on for a great one. And there he is, out on stream. A little bit of annoyed, but still out there. And still going to finish the race the way it started. Get to race and enjoy. He has got part of the logistical nightmare racing team on the back of him. He's trying to help coordinate that effort, as that looks to be his own team at number 13 of Sean Skitter getting past. He's also allowed Nicholas Cora, so a bit of movement there. He's quite happy with that, and good to see Chris Wall trying to push on that little bit harder. He does help out his teammate though. Maeth Musa getting the charge, has got Stephen Milana James all over the back of him. Ben Hicks feeling the pressure as Christian Fengler looks up on the inside of Shooten and gets that pass done. Paul Fenter trying to also get his nose in as well to duke it out, which is always great to see. Christian Fengler, one of the top hierarchy here at ERA, is now going absolutely door-to-door with drivers. And David Shooten, oh, bit of side-by-side contact between himself and Paul Fenter, but Paul managing to get away better than the likes of David Shooten at the moment, and will be concentrating on the drive and hoping that he doesn't lose a bit of time with the likes of Shooten right on the back of him. Small mistakes starting to creep in though. He's keeping that well in mind. You can see the concentration starting to bleed in as well from the likes of Paul Fenter, as he looks over to try and keep it all together, as the ERA Highway Patrol is hot on his tail, as our driver cam seems to have dropped off a little bit there. But always good to see the drivers going and pushing themselves out a little bit more, hoping to make that bit more of an impact here tonight. So always phenomenal stuff for our drivers to really pick up the pace and see where they can go. Sean Skitter unfortunately dropping down to 7th position as Nicholas Cora gets on by and will start to try and open up that gap as they catch up to Glenn Smith ahead of them. Dave Roschke trying to get the drive as he's got Jason Farmer up on the inside. The Griffin Sim Racing team now will be going right behind Chris Wall, just leading ahead. Now Chris can't really lift, otherwise it compromises Jason Farmer too much. Jason's hoping for the toe to work out. Gets David Roschke to drop off the back of him and now will continue on his drive. Sean Skitter, however, is losing tracks to Nicholas Cora at the moment and we'll be trying to figure out what needs to be done. We do have another car off, and it's yellow flags once again for the 98 that is down the order, and that is Skirt Reynolds parked into the kitty litter, well, into the grass, and that pony is grazing at the moment, trying to put the power down and get going. Oh, big sideways moment as all those pistons start to fire up and really get going. V8 power is fantastic, except when you're sitting on the grass, then there's a whole lot of slides that come into play as well. Christian Fingler for the Track Tool team, keeping an eye on Paul Fenter sitting behind him, and Paul hoping to carry on that drive a little bit more. Will be really pressing on to see if he can get that bit more of momentum underneath him, hoping that it's going to be an easier one. Christian Fingler stuck on the inside. Paul Fenter going to go around the outside, not able to get it all hooked in, and will have to wait out that little bit longer to see if he can get it all sorted out. Looks for the inside once again. Late braking, comes across the nose, and just, oh, there's a contact with Christian Fingler. Oh no, it's just disastrous. Absolutely disastrous on that run. My heavens, that was definitely not expected, and unfortunately it started with a bit of a bottle up effort that came through, because Christian Fingler tapped the back of Paul Fenter under braking. He then reduced the speed by so much that it landed up creating a concertina effect. And let's see if we can go. This is off the helicopter view, a bit of side-by-side action between them. Paul Fenter goes in, big moment on the brakes, gets it all hooked in. Fingler too much pace, clips the rear, and then it's just bang, bang, bang on the way through. And the Track Tool team also coming to blows with one another. Not ideal effort there, but damage on the cars is most certainly going to be running through the minds of a lot of these drivers. Oh, Nicholas Cora into the dirt, having a little bit of a difficult time out there. We'll have Sean Skitter hunting him down at a rate of knots now, and we do start to see some of the penalties coming through for track limits exceeded, and Stephen Milano James is currently the first to get that with a drive-through penalty on top of him. And he's going to have to try and power his way through it. So a tough time for him, going to figure out what needs to work here. And that is going to be for cutting the chicanes a little bit too close, a little bit too tight. The right left-hander, as we do see Skirt Reynolds into the pits. And here comes Stephen Milano James going and stopping off on the side as well. Hopefully nothing too wrong with that car, and he's able to get up and going back into the race. Oh, David Roth going and losing out as well. And that is on the exit turn 1, heading into turn 2. This long right-hander as the entirety of the field come blazing on by and trying to get past him. Miles Stone making quick work of him. And now it's time for Federico Calgero to make up some time with Lucas Collab as well. Two Cyber Racing teams are absolutely hammering it. They got Ulrich Diaga, though, the Griffin Sim Racing, going and sporting, I've got to say, the purple on the car, really good looking. Really, really good looking to see on the McLaren. Trying out something a little bit newer this season, and trying out more of the winter colours, one would say, for the Griffin Sim Racing team. David Schuton, though, on the back of them, it will be going and fighting his way through, hoping to make a little bit more of an impact here as they charge their way down the line. So drivers are still pushing that little bit harder, trying to figure out what works for them and where can they get the climb at this moment. Remember, one mandatory pit stop needs to be served by all drivers. And how do you do that pit stop? Well, you stop into the box, make sure you're in the nice red square, the designated marker, get the car up on jacks, put at least 1 litre of fuel in the car, and get yourself back up and going. Always the best part to it, but you can lose a lot of time. When do you go and pull the trigger is the question for these drivers. When do you get into the pits, get yourself sorted, and back out? Do you take tires? That's the next thing to talk about. It's 38 degrees out here in Donington. It is an extremely hot circuit. Oh, and Sean Skitter off into the weeds, now trying to get himself going, and that Honda not going to be happy with that. Unfortunately, lawnmower not quite working. Needs to refire it up, and is going to have Christian Fingler, Christoph Rolotsky, and Nico Lawrence right on his tail that are carrying a lot more momentum and have no dirt on it. Oh, Skitter off into the dirt, gets a little bit of a twitch, and that immediately gets him eaten up by Christian Rolotsky and Lawrence. He does filter right in front of Miles Stone. The big V8 has got fellow American David Roth having a good look as well. The 488 will want to get by, and that is a bit of an interesting one. The Coors Banquet having a bit of a move around one another. David Roth and Miles Stone giving a little bit of room to one another here. Roth has got 15 seconds to deal with as he goes up on the inside of Sean Skitter, running him out a little bit wide there, gets on the power. The V8 of the Ferrari starts to gallop away against the V6 turbocharge, but VTEC kicks in for Sean Skitter, has the length to keep going. Roth just coming across the nose of Miles Stone's Mustang. Paul Fenter coming out of pit lane after serving some bit of repair work to his car on that impact, and will keep going. I mean, this is turning into a bit of a wild one, and we haven't even hit 20 minutes yet. It's just been incredible racing right the way through, and so far there is so much going on throughout the entire race that it's finding it a little bit difficult to just go and give you a bit of who's where at the moment as we do see this big train. Okay, let's give it a try. Let's try and figure out where we are. So currently leading out our diamonds, it's Christoph Peterson, Ernest Lundbriggs, and Jens Nelson who currently lead out our diamonds. Great to see that. Moving on to our platinums, it's Tomo Milani leading out that pack, and he's hoping to carry on the momentum once again, racing for a cause right now. He is keeping ahead of Nicholas Cora in second place of the platinums, and we've got David Broschke running third in the platinums. Moving on to our golds, that's where it's a lot closer. That's where it's a little bit on the crazier side, and that's where we go to David Roth leading out our gold division, with Miles Stone in second place, and Federico Calgero will be running. Oh, never mind. It is big turnaround for David Schutten, who gets spun round there. 178, unfortunately, getting turned round, and let's quickly go and take a look. So, Schutten in the BMW has got Ulrich Diaga behind him. He's trying to figure out where he can go. Loses out a little bit of time onto Federico Calgero. He taps Federico, and there is that Constantina effect with Ulrich Diaga and Hunter Foss going and giving him that little bit of a bump. Gets him turned round as well. So, not an easy drive out there, and really for Schutten, it's been a nightmare of a race considering of how far he's come up the championship. Even though it's early days, remember this championship is 7 rounds that you have to contend with, and at the moment you're on round 3, and it's all starting to tuck away underneath you. And this being the hottest that it's been all season thus far, it's been a difficult one. Oh, big move for Glenn Smith trying to go and defend the inside. Nicholas Cora having to second guess that one. He's going to go for the undercut though. Deep on the inside, gets on the power of the McLaren, trying everything possible. The turbocharged V6 of that 296 up on the inside. A little bit of straight line. Nicholas sharing a bit of paint with him, but it's ERA Highway Patrol into pit lane. Going and making good move there. Mahath Musa, all the way out from South Africa, has got David Broschke to right behind him. And we have got Ben Hicks just ahead of him. Chris Wall, who is still in for the fight. Don't count him out just yet. Will continue on his bit of pace to ensure that he can slowly tick his way back. Remember, Chris Wall was at one point stone dead last. He's managed to move himself up to 30th. He's done his pit stop. He can just keep going. Now it's about saving fuel to get it to the end, and I think at this point he has a very good opportunity to do it. Aaron Shingle, who's out on the circuit. This was the Ferrari that got turned around at the beginning of the race, and Aaron Shingle hoping to keep ahead of Sebastian Robertson, who is not backing down from the fight, is honestly putting the pressure on him, looking left, looking right, trying to see where he can get going, and unfortunately not able to do it just as yet, to trying to find their ground. Nicholas Porras and David Young, they're fighting out for 26th and 27th position respectively, and will be trying to hold their line at the moment. A big look on the inside for Flynn Van Holland, as Aaron is trying everything he can. Flynn Van Holland with that caution tape all over the Porsche, hoping to be a little bit more visible. Unfortunately, he is way too visible in the problems as the Porsche runs out a bit wide. Aaron's going to have a good look at him, unfortunately hasn't quite got the pace, but just poking his nose enough to see where can he get it by, where can he get that pass done and dust it on the way through. And at the moment, he's got Sebastian, who is just maintaining the drive, looks towards the inside. He's going to have a look, though, backs out of it, definitely going and showing his nose, saying, listen, I'm here. That does compromise his drive and has Nicholas getting a bit closer to him, as we do see the likes of Nico Lawrence and Sean Skitter are getting a little bit of rubbing and racing. Nico Lawrence for the Track Tool team on a great run, has got David Roth trying to close up on him, and David Roth in the 488 will be next for position. The BMW that's just sitting behind him, unfortunately, is not for position, but definitely got a fair amount of pace to him. That might actually be likes of Ben Hicks. Would that be Ben Hicks? Oh, no, that might be David Shuton. Yes, it is Mr. Shuton out there, who is out of position at this point, trying to gather some time. He's down in 31st position and hanging in for the fight. He's right behind Nico Lawrence of the Track Tool team and hoping that that's going to count in his favor at the moment. And remember, we've got the likes of our main race, where it's all about the driver championship. We do have a team championship as well, which ERA Highway Patrol is currently leading. Stone Possum Racing in second. Cyber Racing Miltech is running in third. Cyber Racing Eroshka is running in fourth place. The pedal files, I've got to get that one right, because if you say it too fast, you're going to get caught out. And don't try and re-say it the whole time. They're running in fifth. Logistical Nightmare is in 6th. Los Pantos Hermanos Worldwide is a little bit further down in 7th. Griffin Sim Racing Team is in 8th. Track Tool Team is in 9th. And Los Pantos Hermanos is running in 10th. We also do have our manufacturer standings. Ferrari leading out the pack. BMW in 2nd. McLaren in 3rd. Lamborghini in 4th. Mercedes in 5th here in the championship. So many championships are happening. Driver championships, team championships, manufacturer championships are all on the line for every single one of these drivers. Ulrich Diaga trying to pick up the pace to catch up to Federico Colguero at the moment. Hasn't been an easy run for him, as the McLaren has been in a few scuffles throughout the race, and will be trying to figure out what they can do there. David Shuton into the pit lane and will fall behind Paul Fenter, who is currently making his way around. Chris Wall still putting in a considerable amount of pace, lying up into 29th now, so good climb for him. Ulrich Diaga getting the pass on Federico Colguero. The two McLarens swapping around the positions, and that's going to allow John Spriggs out there in the Castro colours, the Wise Racing, looking to be even more wise here tonight, has got Lewis Knight chasing him down in the Good Smile Racing Nissan GTR. I'll say, it's still sad to think that that car is now officially off the production line. No more Nissan GTRs ever being built here in the world until the, well, next generation in many, many years to come. Hopefully with still the amazing motors that they came out with. Krzysztof Rolotsky out in 11th position. It's got Sean Skitter onto the back of him. And nickname for Sean Skitter being Skitty. Well, let's see if Skitty is going to be able to kitty his way through and not visit the kitty litter, as he puts the pressure on Krzysztof Rolotsky, who's just soaking it up at the moment. The Los Pantos Hermanos team have really been working on keeping it together. And it's one thing I've got to say. I sat in a practice session with them, and they practice by having drivers in their mirrors the whole time. They're always in each other's mirrors. And Krzysztof Rolotsky is one of those drivers. He just keeps it in the mirrors, keeps an eye on what's going on around him, but at the same time, so it doesn't phase him. He's not worried about it, concentrates on his line, forgets about the mirrors, and just knows where to position the car based on little cues. So he's hoping that that's going to work out as Sean Skitter continues to put unrelenting pressure onto him as we jump on board that Nissan GT, the Honda NSX, as they brake hard into the chicane. This is where most of the drive-thrus will happen if you cut the course too much. A bit of dirt being kicked up. That would be a little bit further up the road, as it might be Christian Fengler who did it. Oh, Sean Skitter very deep into the corner, trying to bring it back on the late apex, right up against the back of that Lamborghini. Absolutely giving it horns, looks towards the inside. Late on the brakes yet again, just couldn't get it going. And this is allowing Nico Lawrence to get it closer and closer, as Sean Skitter and Rolotsky trying to drag race their way through. We have got an Audi in the pits trying to get going, and that is actually a new driver to get into it. Wow. Okay, right. Something to talk about here. And this is Janse van Vuren getting into the race right at the last. So, Janse van Vuren, welcome to the race for the Logistical Nightmare Racing team, and is out way down the order in the Audi R8 Evo, and is joined in the race. So he's 12 laps down on the order, but man, oh man, what a way to come in, lastminute.com. Welcome to the race. Good to see you. Driver's briefing was that way. Hopefully, didn't forget the race suit and gloves. So, Logistical Nightmare Racing team bringing in another driver to come and have a race around. And that's going to be Janse van Vuren coming out of the pits. So, time to learn how the track feels at a blistering 39 degrees out here. This is still a tremendous temperature that the drivers are going to have to go through, and will be noticing sweat coming off the brow. I mean, if you go to like Tom and Malami at the moment in that beautiful Lexus, trying to get the pace going. So let's see if we can bring up our driver cam. Please work. I always wonder if this thing's going to work. It does work sometimes. There it is. Tom and Malami going through. You can see the sweat on his brow, trying to keep it all together, and utilizing as much pace as possible. Just keeping it smooth entry points on the way through, and keeping it cool and consistent as possible as they make their way around the circuit. So good to see drivers putting in that extra bit of work, and there is a beautiful shot of all three of our drivers, Tomo Malami, Chris Wall, and Paul Fento, who's looking rather stern at the moment, is trying to keep themselves all calm and organized in this very difficult race as they power their way on. Always fantastic to just get that inboard and see where it's all going to go. So, that being said, it's better late than never. I have to agree with that one. And, well, for Van Vuren, it's really better late than never. Paul Fenter, a little bit of visit in the dirt. Now able to get up and going. 36 minutes to go in this race. Still plenty of time to make it work. Nico Lawrence into the pits. Sebastian into the pits. Lucas Collab is going to be saying thank you very much on that one as he tries to open up the gap. He has got the Aston Martin behind him. That's Sebastian Lucasen, who was part of the earlier problem, and is going, oh, Lewis Knight, a little bit side-on contact, and that is a bit of a fight going on. We have got Lewis Knight out in the Nissan GTR up against the Honda of John Spriggs, and if you want to talk about two Japanese manufacturers that have been at each other's throats for many years, well, that has been Honda and Nissan. For many years, they've been duking out. I would say you've got the samurai of Lewis Knight dealing with John Spriggs, more ninja of the Honda that he is piloting behind. But that being said, they can hear the bells tolling in the background as the king starts to move forward with the cavalry. Hanzo Foss out there in the only Bentley in the entirety of ERA. I've got to say, that is quite a thing. And I had a chat to him, asked him, why the Bentley? Why are you sticking with the Bentley? Everyone's picked the everything else but the Bentley. And he said, well, it's a car that I started with. It's a car that I enjoy, and it's a car that I want to drive. And the big Bentley has been that one. The only right-hand drive car, everyone else is left-hand. So why go and follow the rest of the crowd on Meta? The Meta isn't going to work for me. So can give it really good ideas there. And honestly, take my hat off to the driver wanting to figure out the next step. Nicholas Porras into the pits, though, is going and getting himself sorted out. We do see one of the Cyber Monkeys getting himself sorted out. So great to see a couple of drivers just organizing, getting themselves ready, and heading back out onto the circuit. That being said, though, we got to talk about who is leading out the drivers that have gone and pitted. And that is going to be Lucas Collab here in 23rd position. The Cyber Racing Mercedes GT3 AMG is absolutely on a roll. The Evo has really been an exciting one to go and keep an eye out. Running in 23rd position. Fun fact, though, that you can actually move the pedal plate, so the pedals in the Mercedes closer to the driver's seat, because the driver's seat doesn't move. It's fixed to the ground. It doesn't move. You're going to have to move the pedals. So you actually have a little lever that you lift up, down on your right-hand side that pulls the whole tray towards you, much like our sim rigs that we have at home, where you can move the pedal tray closer towards you instead of the seat, or if you got one under your seat, you can move it, or if you're big and fancy, you have both that can do it. For those that are as short as me, you use a booster seat just to see over the steering wheel. Jason Farmer, however, does not need a booster seat to see the braking markers as he goes after the likes of Glenn Smith, really putting the hammer down and getting into the fight as pit lane is getting busy. Ulrich Diaga, and we have also got the 488 going and making his way out onto the track, and David Roth will be getting himself going. Pit lane getting very, very busy there. Jens Nelson into the pit. Was part of our top running order, now falling down the order indeed, as Glenn Smith for the 2ID team will be keeping on pace. Ernest Umbrix, remember, he's got that 5 seconds to contend with, and at the moment it's 3.5 seconds, going 4 seconds away from Christoph Peterson, who has not got any success penalties against him, and that's purely because he doesn't finish in the top 3 the last race, and that is where it's going to get very, very wild for the driver. So Jason Farmer down in 5th place, Glenn Smith keeping the pressure on, and it's interesting to see how these drivers are going to contend with it. So far, we've only seen one drive-through penalty during the course of this race, and everyone still keeping it nice and clean, but you can be sure they've been flirting with those track limits and had Jim radioing in their ears saying, listen, caution guys, you don't want to take too much, and have us handing out those penalties on the way through. And just incredible running. Once again, Van Furen still out on the track, so good to see that the Audi R8 is still driving. And honestly, I take my hats off. Better late than never. Well, you've definitely arrived and still trying to figure it out. David Young, though, out there in 18th position, loses out. Jen Nelson makes quick work of him, gains a position, and is also leading out those that have done their pit stops. Now, this is a key element for him, as and so far, David Borschke is the one that's dived into the pits to keep going. For Jens Nelson, this is for him to take up the mantle, to climb as high as one can, but also radioing key information back to his teammates further up the field. Take Tomo Malami running in 3rd place. He's going to have to radio in and say, look, this is where I am, this is what's happening, as they make their way through. Jason Farmer getting overtaken by Ben Hicks. Ben out there in the BMW M4 GT3 for the Highway Patrol has been in a bit of a rough spot more than once at the moment, but he's able to keep up the power, keep up the momentum, and now it's got the Ferrari chasing him down on the way through. Let's take a look, though, take a little bit of a slowdown on positions, gains, and losses, because it's always quite fun to go through these. And so far, if we're looking within our top 10, the highest is Christoph Rolotsky, who's in 10th place, and is currently running 3rd of our Platinums. 2nd of the highest climbs is Mahath Musa. He is a little bit further down than he would like, but gained 10 positions, while Rolotsky gained 13 positions. Rolotsky currently sighing in 3rd. He's got Christian Finkler 2nd of our Platinums, and Tomo Malami, who is currently leading out our Platinums. So good to see the drivers pushing as hard as they can. Miles Stone up 10 positions, getting pressure put on him by Federico Calgero. Remember, this little McLaren here has taken a few turns for the worse as they gain 11 positions, and Lewis Knights has gained 12, who's right behind him. But Federico Calgero has also been one that's been bounced up and down through the field and is duly trying to keep it all going at this point as they continue on. Glenn Smith, John Spriggs, Hanso Foss, Finn Van Holland all into pit lane and trying to keep themselves on the running order. Back up to our fight in the top 5 though. Jason Farmer, Ben Hicks currently fighting 4th and 5th position on the way through, trying to give themselves as much momentum as possible to carry on the drive. And it's going to be Ben Hicks touching the dirt, getting a little bit sideways, really fighting his way through. Farmer keeping that pressure up. 29 minutes on, and yellow flags being waved for a short time. We saw Tomo Malami now into the pits, but we also do have the number 4 landing up into the weeds. And let's quickly go and take a look as we see Ben Hicks pulling into pit lane. So please don't break. That is Chris Wall trying to make his way around. And unfortunately, it looks like he had one of the ERA highway patrols right onto the back. Nicholas Cora right behind him. So they get through, and might have been a little bit of rear contact there. Oh, big rear contact, and unfortunately spiked towards the wall. That was definitely not ideal. You can see everyone on pit wall also just trying to get radio contact to find out, what's going on. But Chris Wall currently in the wall and getting himself checked out. Just a sigh of disappointment, most definitely on the face of Chris. After that one, I mean, that was the rear contact that he did not want to have at all, and you can see a little bit of frustration there on the face, trying to wait for timers to work out for him so he can get back out into the circuit. And honestly, we saw that contact. That was just, unfortunately, a lot of rear contact got him turned around. Ernest Lundbriggs into pit lane, now trying to get himself sorted out, and will be on the climb. So Christoph Peterson free to run away. Jason Farmer will be coming through. Stop go 32nd, handed out to Federico Calgero, and there is Chris Wall coming out of pit lane. Chris, hands up, buddy. I really give it up to you for that one. It's always great to see drivers still pushing it as hard as they can, even when stuff is at their worst. But Calgero, who was second of our goals, is now stop go 30-second penalty. He will lose out to John Spriggs, and that is going to be a big wallop for him, that's for certain. Ernest Lundbriggs will be exiting pit lane with the Lightning McQueen colours, and will be happy to lead out the running pack because he just gets out ahead of the likes of Jens Nelson, who is going to be a little bit further down the order. Sorry, Jens Nelson actually got past him. Jens Nelson is into 5th. So that Lamborghini managed to overtake Ernest Lundbriggs right at the last. Christoph Peterson into the pits to try and get the pit stop done and dusted, trying to get rid of that undercut that came in, and will hope that he has enough pace. Jens Nelson leads out the pack of those that have done pit stops. But let's take a look, though. As Peterson pulls into the pits, that only leaves Jason Farmer, Miles Stone, and Lewis Knight out there on the circuit. Miles Stone currently leading out the golds, and Lewis Knight leading out the platinums as they maneuver their way through. Calgero, stopping for his stop-go 30-second penalty, will be tripping down the order and waiting to get going. Christoph Rolotsky and Sean Skitter all over the back of one another. The Lamborghini versus the Honda NSX getting pushed along at this moment, and it is going to be a great chase. Ooh, Sean Skitter getting a little bit hairy under braking. Was not happy about that one. Will come off on the circuit, and he's able to get going nice and easy, but that's going to allow Christian Fengler to close up the gap and Christoph Rolotsky to go and open up the gap. Big train, however, is John Spriggs, Ulrich de Jager for the Griffin Sim Racing, and the Track Tool Racing of Nico Lawrence, David Roth out there in the Coors Banquet, going and battling it out. And this is going to be a difficult train to try and get rid of, as everyone has no way to move forward at this point. They're going to have to try and figure out what works for them, where can they get the drive, and how far can they move their way up through the order. So always a tough time out there for the drivers to push themselves that little bit more. Milestone, Lewis Knight, they're both into the pits now, and Ulrich de Jager going to go around the outside. He thought about it and decided, nah, rather not. Going to try hang on Spriggs. The Track Tool team, contact between Nico Lawrence and David Roth. A little bit out of shape moment there, but they're able to keep going, but only just at this point. Man, oh man. Drivers are fighting their way through. Paul Fenter, the Banana Express, trying to get hard onto the anchors as much as possible to keep himself going. And that Aston Martin looking a little bit more hooked up than ever at this point. So far, switched over from the Honda NSX from last season. He's now into the Aston Martin. You can see cool, calm, and comfortable at the moment, talking to the likes of Chris Wall, who seems to have climbed out of the vehicle for now. And hopefully we will see him back into the car. But Paul Fenter going and showing off what he can do, and sitting in reclined style as well. There we go. Nice haircut, Paul. Great to see it, buddy. That's one thing I can say about having these driver cams, just gets you to have a bit more fun. Sean Skitter getting the pass on Christoph Rolotsky. Oh, never mind. How about going rallying? Sean Skitter just missing out the entirety of the corner. And now we'll have Rolotsky all over the back of him. But would that be a track limit? Not quite, but it's definitely a dirt on the tyre. Christian Fengler has gotten into the fight as well. And now this is going to be an interesting one. Rolotsky and Fengler have had a very close relationship in the past. They've worked well with one another to move their way up through the order. Is it going to happen again to aim at Sean Skitter, who is starting to crack under pressure at the moment? As we do have two cars into the pits at Sebastian Robson and the likes of Chris Wall. Unfortunately, both have not gone out for a while. Christian Fengler very wide into the dirt, not having an easy time out there. We'll keep an eye out on what he needs to do. Miles Stone going and losing out to Lucas Collap now, and Lucas trying to open up the gap. Now, Miles is racing for the gold division, so he's not too worried about on-track position, but he has to keep well enough aware of John Spriggs, who is in the gold division as well. Lewis Knight does separate them with a little bit of time in between, so they've got a bit of change to play with, but it's not ideal circumstances. 636 out on circuit, Van Vuren visiting the grass at the moment. That Audi trying to show off that its previous life was a Quattro. Unfortunately, Van Vuren making a little bit too wild into the dirt and still trying to get some laps back on the rest of the field. He's 13 laps down and now going to have one big tough time with the likes of our Mustang. So still trying to make his way through. And Shingle duking out with Finn Van Holland, and Van Holland out there in 22nd positions, chasing after 21st as they battle their way through. I mean, this is just still some incredible racing as the time goes on. 37 minutes of the race has been completed by our drivers, and still so much going on as the drivers battle their way through. Remember, 36 started this race, and so far we have got 32 cars actively rolling around the circuit, which is always great to see. I prefer to see more of the cars out there, but unfortunately Chris Wall, Sebastian all running into different problems, and we'll be waiting out. Hopefully they can get the cars sorted out for the next race and get them back out on track. Preferably, I'd like to see them finishing up the race because, well, you started on the green, see it on the checkered. That's my mentality. And even if the race has gone a bit south underneath you, it does take away a lot of the major bite that you would like. It's always nice to just have a better go towards it. So that's my choice, and I would say to the team, try to get the car going. It will be well worth it to help out the team championship. That being said, though, let's talk about a driver that is yet to go and visit his team, and that is Jason Farmer, who is out in first place and needing to dive into the pit lane. He does get past the likes of Sebastian Luxon in the Aston Martin, the ERA Highway Patrol, going and minding out of the way for our current leader of the race, who is just trying to keep it on track. Taking a look over to our virtual grandstands as everyone's standing and getting excited on the incredible racing we have in front of us over the long course of this hour race. I mean, it's been a bit mad. Jason Farmer finally visiting the team in the pits and saying, listen guys, I need a bit of fuel. Oh, Christian Fengler, big sideways moment for him as he dived into the dirt, got tossed around a little bit. Taking a look at our virtual grandstands, we do have Daniel de Villiers out there going and saying how's it from the other side, which is always fantastic to see. A big fan of the Nissan GTR, and it's good to see him out there going and putting in support for all the South Africans and also our Nissans that are racing around the circuit. Because yes, Nissan GTR, Lewis Knight, meet Daniel de Villiers. The Good Smile Racing though, however, with that little bit of a Hanumiku sort of styling on the car, definitely has a little bit more pop, that one would see. Jason Farmer in the pits though is falling down the order as the ladder starts to come through. As we got Ernest Umbriggs, he's managing to keep onto the back of Jens Nelson at the moment. A little bit behind, 1.3 seconds, but enough to still keep the pressure on that Lamborghini that runs in second place. Tom Milani leading out our Platinums, with David Broschke running in second of our Platinums. And then we've got Christoph Rolotsky, who is running in 11th third of our platinums. Leading out our golds is Milestone, John Spriggs, and Ulrich de Jager out in third place. Now let's talk about the big one, the main one, the big drivers. That is our, well, diamonds. And that is Christoph Peterson leading out the pack, Jens Nelson in second, and Ernest Lumbriggs running in third. With second place on the line, the Griffin Sim Racing team, though, having to be well aware of these drivers coming through. The old school Ferrari beating out the 296, not only on looks, but also on outright pace at the moment, is trying to make his way through. So good to see the drivers trying to give it everything they got and find their way through, as that is going to be a one to keep an eye out for. Rolotsky feeling the pressure from Christian Fengler, and they are fighting it out for third in class. So this is going to be a big time for Christian Fengler to try and make the move. But Rolotsky, who's holding third place at the moment, is going to do everything possible to try and maintain for the last 18 minutes of this race, and it's going to be about keeping that momentum the whole way through and just gritting your teeth. Big train starting to form yet again is Finn van Arnen, Aaron Schigel, and Nicholas Porras onto the back of one another, each of them pushing that little bit more, and that's allowing the big Bentley of Hanso Voss to get that little bit more momentum and gain some time in this race. I mean, this is where it's getting wild for all the drivers to really figure out what they can do. How far are they willing to go in this race, as Rolotsky has got Fengler looking left, looking right, just can't get past. Fengler trying everything he can as we jump on board, frantically soaring the wheel, reading Los Pontos Hermanos all over the back of this Lamborghini and thinking the track tool team has just got to snatch it away. We cannot let the three ducks beat us. Dives for the inside line, and unfortunately just not enough momentum to get through, and is really just clawing and soaring at this point, figuring out what's going to work out for him. Down on the brakes, and unfortunately just not having the space to play with is going and eating him up, and the tires starting to take that wear and tear. The Lamborghinis naturally start to dance around you and you're having to fight it out. Now imagine trying to do that at 180 kilometers an hour in the tow with no aero getting utilized because you're in the slipstream. This is just wild action on the way through, and everyone having to think what is going to be the better option here. How far are you willing to go in this race? How far are you willing to push yourself that little bit more, as you're going to have to get geared up? And I can tell you that maybe, just maybe, that Christian Fengler is going to be on the phone to the hitman and saying, listen, just pull the trigger already. Just try and give me some space. Well, for that being said, John Spriggs has got Ulrich de Jager and also Nicholas Lawrence, a huge part. Nico Lawrence, monster pass on Ulrich de Jager, under braking, and now will eye out to get past that Honda NSX, and beautifully done. Man, oh man, that was textbook to get the pass done, and de Jager is definitely rattled by that thought, is trying to keep ahead of David Roth at the moment. Absolutely phenomenal stuff for the likes of Nico Lawrence, and de Jager is going to have to try and pull himself back into the fight as quick as he can. David Roth in that 488 will look to try and put the power down and keep right onto the back of the McLaren as he fights his way through, looking around inside, outside, and just not getting the power on just as yet. But John Spriggs has got the opportunity to run away as Nico Lawrence has dropped back into the clutches as they fight their way through. Let's go back up, though, for our battle for the podium. Jens Nelson and Ernest Lumbriggs, Lamborghini versus Ferrari. This is a match made in past and is now returning. Two manufacturers have gone and duked it out in the past on making the best Italian supercars out there, and we're going to see it all over again with Ernest Lumbriggs and Jen Nelson. We do see the number 98, however, landing up into the grass and unfortunately getting caught out a little bit there. So drivers are battling their way through, trying to figure out what works out. So far, best lap time was set by Christoph Peterson, going and really putting in a fast lap time of a 1 minute 26.490, and that has been just an incredible pace on his part, hoping that he can keep up that momentum just a little bit longer. It's going to be a little bit harder to do it, and we'll have to see how it battles their way around. I mean, this is always the tough part about the racing is trying to gain that little bit of time, figure out what's going to work out for you. And as we see, it's turning into a tough time out there. Christian Fingler up on the inside to try look to get past Rolotsky as they fight it out for third place in class. Rolotsky fighting tooth and nail at this point. Christian Fingler hunting down those insides, but how close is those track limits to him as he battles his way through? I mean, this is always the scary part for them as they maneuver their way around. I do get, however, a bit of reports that Paul Fenter has pulled into the pits. Paul Fenter is into pit lane, and if I'm looking at the driver cam, it looks like Paul Fenter has exited the vehicle. What on earth has gone on with Paul the Wall Fenter that has got him out of the car? The 420, unfortunately, yellow flags for him, so let's quickly try and take a look. Here's Paul Fenter, a little bit unsteady. And what on earth went on with him? Down into braking, and wow, just failure at some point. That has taken him out of the race. So Paul Fenter, unfortunately, another retiree for the Logistical Nightmare Racing team, and not ideal circumstances for him indeed, and leaves us to wonder what on earth happened to him. Milestone, though, having Lucas Collab all over the back of him as they push to get a little bit more momentum and figuring out what's going to work. Taking a look over to our virtual grandstands. Bit of support coming in for Marge Ora, who's busy cheering on Rolotsky all the way through, saying, come on, come on, come on, keep going on the way through. I mean, that is just absolutely wild times indeed. Christoph Rolotsky dealing with Christian Fengler at the moment. They are fighting tooth and nail at this point. The Track Tool team having to work incredibly hard as we get down into the last dying minutes of this race. And it is going to be a wild one indeed, with the drivers having to push, dig that little bit deeper. Oh, Christian Fengler late on the brakes, missed the braking marker by a light year. The man started in the likes of London, he ended in Scotland, and that unfortunately lost him a bit of time. David Roth, though, big run for him. Unfortunately, his run in the gold to try go for podium snatched away at the last as he's caught up to Ulrich Diaga and to John Spriggs, but has a drive-through penalty as Spriggs getting caught up behind the Track Tool team of Nico Lawrence. Diaga trying to go around the outside. David Roth into pit lane to serve that drive-through penalty. That is just a killing blow for his drive. He'll serve that drive-through penalty, but watches as the podium slips between his fingers. And that, unfortunately, is what happens when you test the stewards by going and pushing those track limits a little bit too far. They give you a big, solid smack on the fingers saying, no, no, no. Yeah, that's not how we play the game. Oh, man, gut-wrenching, absolutely gut-wrenching to see it happen. But it was in just for a battle, looking left and right, hunting down any way to get by. Unfortunately, that's taken him out of it. So it's currently Milestone, John Spriggs and Ulrich Diaga fighting out for the podium, as much like Christian Fengler and Rolotsky fighting out for their class podium. And that is Paul Fenter. My heavens, now, I did speak about Paul Fenter, who did pull into the pits. And I do see his driver cam is off, but Paul Fenter is back out on track. Mr. Fenter, well done. Good to see it out there. And Logistical Nightmare Racing driver just trying to get that car circulating. And I know that if he's hearing me, which he most probably will, from the likes of one of his pit crew, Vietia, Buerta, and such, going and saying, please pass on. Thank you very much. Well done. Good to see you out there. Good to see you finishing. And I'd like to see the Mustang of Chris Wall also doing the same. Jason Farmer and Glenn Smith are fighting out for position, though. They're running at 5th and 6th at this point, as Ernest Lundbriggs all over the back of Jens Nelson sees the train ahead of him that is going to dictate how this race is going to go. And I do still, however, see that BMW of Sebastian Robertson is waiting in pit lane as well. Hopefully they can get the driver zipped up back into the car and across the line like it's meant to be done. So shout to Sebastian to get that car sorted out, get back into the race, and even though you might be down the order, it's worth getting across the line, scoring some points, and seeing the checkered flag. You saw the green, time to see the checkered. That's where we need to go. Ernest Lundberg, so fighting it out, currently in third place overall, third in class. Jens Nelson having a good go at him. Christian Fengler side by side with Rolotsky as we cut back down to them. They are absolutely at each other's throats at this point. Rolotsky stuck on the outside. Fengler up on the inside. It's late on the brakes. Rolotsky trying to do a bit of a cutback. Fengler defends the apex though. That has gone and helped him. Rolotsky down the order. Fengler has done enough to gear himself down. Stopped Rolotsky to get that pass and stopped him from getting that undercut. I mean, very well done there. Rolotsky tried his best. He threw hammer and tongs at the moment, but he is now out of that top 3 in class. He needs to put the hammer down. He needs to try and figure out where the momentum is going to come from. How can he capitalize on the situation? That is the question that is going to be running through the drivers' heads. How far can you go? And it's not sounding like a Disney movie at this point. Paul Fenter waiting in pit lane, allowing the drivers to go. He's going to come out right in front of David Roth, who enters the corner. That moved him a little bit of a flying there. But Paul Fenter not wanting to get caught out and causing a bit of a problem. Ulrich Diaga onto the back of John Spriggs. Now, they are also fighting out for the gold division, and Ulrich Diaga will have to do everything he can. Oh, we have got reports though. There's Aaron Shingle, and it looks like it may have been contact with Finn van Holland. The two of them may have had it coming together. Let's quickly go and take a look. Finn van Holland in the Porsche, running ahead. And remember, this has been a fight we kept an eye out on, as we have got Aaron Shingle. Great running for him throughout the race, but unfortunately, the rear just stepped out. And as we did see, Finn van Holland landed in the dirt as well, but the rear stepped for Aaron, unfortunately getting turned around. So no contact there, but just the rear not agreeing with him. Jason Farmer onto the back of Glenn Smith, now trying to carry up their little bit of momentum. 7 minutes left of this race, and it is still wild all over. Jens Nelson up on the inside of Ernest Lundberg, carries on the moment, and there is Finn van Holland trying to also gather up his time, and Jens Nelson hoping to carry the Cyber Racing team across the line at the moment, with Ernest Lundberg constantly hounding him at this point. Ernest is currently in the older of the Ferraris, and one that hasn't been updated on ACC for quite some time, but thanks to the BOP, they have been able to bring that car back to life. And Ernest Lundberg, who's had vast success in that car, now looking to try and move his way up through the order. But I do want to bring out another little fight coming on. Miles Stone up against Christoph Rolotsky. Now, Rolotsky is running fourth in his class, as he's lost out a bit of time there. And Fengler has got the run on him. 2.8 seconds exact. Miles Stone, leading out his gold division, does not want to end in 13th. He's actually hunting down for that 12th place spot and hoping that he can get that little bit of momentum underneath him. Now let's keep an eye on this. This is 4th overall, and we have got a bunch of back markers that are fighting for position in the race, with Ernest Lundberg and Jen Nelson, who are fighting for the top of the race, having to carve their way through. Blue flags means that you don't have to move out the way. It's an advisory that a faster car is coming by. Hold your line, don't fight, be predictable. Well, first one through, Porsche getting a little bit mugged on the way through, and has the likes of Jens Nelson and Ernest Lundberg getting a good pass there. And now it's on to the Aston Martin to try and make his way around. And this is going to be a little bit of a wild one to try and get past, because, and looking at my monitor here, it's actually in a chase for position against Otto Voss a little bit further up the road. And they do have the likes of Van Vuren running in 32nd position. He's still out there doing a darn good job. Lewis Knight into pit lane. What on earth is Lewis Knight doing in pit lane? So Lewis Knight into pit lane. The Good Smile Racing, unfortunately, definitely no smile on that one, is waiting. Don't know what to say about that. So we have to keep an eye on how that's working, but definitely not an easy run for him, and unfortunately losing that little bit of time. So Ulrich Diaga trying to gain some time. That is Ernest Lundberg all over the back of Jens Nelson as they fight their way through. And properly going out. And we are taking a look, further reports from one of our cars, and that looks to be Van Vuren just giving a bit of room on the way through. Getting some reports though from the likes of Chris Wall. Unfortunately, damage sustained to the car, a little bit too bad, and will be unfortunately calling a retirement for the Mustang in this race. So a bit of an unfortunate one, despite having that nasty contact we saw, and unfortunately the damage was a little bit more than planned, so he is going to be waiting it out just that little bit longer. Definitely not quite the way you wanted to see things go for it, and I mean, this is just going to be a tough race indeed, and tough championship. I mean, that is just always a difficult one out there. Ernest Lundberg, so all over the back of Jens Nelson, trying to push himself that little bit more up through the fight. And Jens Nelson currently holding second place, has got Christoph Peterson currently 10 seconds ahead. And we haven't spoken too much about Christoph because, well, it's been a pretty easy race for him at this point, running away into the distance, and we'll be hoping to fight it out at the moment. Jason Farmer onto the back of Glenn Smith. Tomo Malami running in 4th place, keeping it nice and clean, keeping it all together at this point. Going to be a happy days for him as he sees Paul Fenter just ahead of him, and Van Vuren just going and having Paul Fenter. Oh my heavens, he's just dived off into the dirt. Oh, Van Vuren nearly going and landing up with a bigger problem there. Sean Skitter off into the dirt. Finn van Holland and David Roth also having a bit of contact with one another, but Van Vuren making life rather interesting, and Paul Fenter getting to see it all. That would have been a big one to see. Oh, Jason Farmer up on the inside, Glenn. Van Vuren just dives into the dirt. I mean, that was a bit of a weird one to see, but he moved out of the way and nearly into the door of another car, so he's got to be rather careful with that one. Sean Skitter, Christoph Rolotsky, and Miles Stone all in tow, and it looks like Sean Skitter across the nose of the Lamborghini of Rolotsky. Miles Stone having to climb onto the anchors, and as he clatters his way through, trying everything he can. Miles has the biggest loss here. Remember, these are 3 different classes in one shot. Sean Skitter is in Diamond, Rolotsky's in Platinum, and Miles Stone is the leader of the Gold division at the moment. I mean, this is just where the race is going. This is where you have to try and figure out what's going to work for you. How can you get this bit of momentum? What do you need to do to just keep that power on the way through? Jason Farmer, however, will be onto the back of Glenn Smith as there's 1 minute and 10 seconds to go in this race. Still so much going on, and we want to also talk about this little battle here. Nico Lawrence and John Spriggs are on the back of one another. Now remember, John Spriggs has got nothing to worry about ahead of him of Nico Lawrence, but he has got Ulrich Diaga, who's in the same class, fighting for second place. So the Triple Eight needs to put the power down and deal with Ulrich Diaga as much as possible as time ticks over, as we start to near the end of this entire battle, and it's going to be a wild one indeed, as drivers will be focusing on the last charge, that last gasp of air needed to put the power down, to break away from it all. And Miles Stone, all over the back of Rolotsky, will be pushing as hard as he can. Ernest Lundberg's all over the back of Jens Nelson. This is just a do or die time as the 636 off and Furin off into the dirt again, trying to allow cars through. We'll see it. Oh, Lundberg's a little bit too much onto the dirt there. Got a bit unsettled as they onto the next train. And this is going to be a bit wild as they come powering their way through. The 2ID Ferrari moving out of the way. It's Nicholas Correa and the McLaren not backing down from this. He's going to see Ernest Lundbergs and the likes of Jen Nelson so close to the back of him as they power their way through. The landing gears are down for our airplanes, are flying over Donington at the moment, but it is all going to be a huge pace. Lundbergs all over the back of Nelson, trying his luck, but as Christoph Peterson gets the win, Nelson's got the power down. Has he got enough? Ernest Lundbergs will fin off in 3rd place, but coming across the line in 4th, and we've got to say well done to him. in support of the Maloney family. It's been a tough week. It has been an incredibly tough week for the family. But Tomo comes across the line, carrying the support of the family, and will be holding 4th place. Glenn Smith will be coming across the line as well. What a run for him. Great moments coming in for the drivers. And wow, oh wow, everyone just putting in a huge amount of effort. Couldn't do it any better if you tried. And wow, oh wow. Glenn Smith, Jason Farmer, Mahath Musa, Dave Rochke, Ben Hicks, and Christian Fingler will round out our top 10. 11th position going to Sean Skitter for a stellar drive out there on his running through. I'm going to try and see if we can bring up our car cam just to show a sense of emotion that's going out. Fortunately not. Couldn't bring it up in time. Oh man, what a while. Tom Maloney, if I can just report, is in tears. He's in absolute tears for what's just been accomplished and carrying over the name of his brother to the finish line here at Donington. Shout out to him on that stellar effort. But well done to all our drivers. Just an amazing time. And honestly, everyone can be rather impressed, rather happy with that incredible drive. And what's next? Oh man, there is just so much to talk about during the course of this race. So many up and down moments that had us on our feet, really trying to figure out what's going to be the climb, who's going to be able to get that win, who's going to be able to claw their way through to a victory. Christoph Peterson ultimately getting the runaway at the start, really led the back of the race. But it is Jens Nelson for the Cyber Racing team. They managed to get themselves way up into the order and having a fight with Ernest Umbriggs, who started out in 2nd place, absolutely clawing at him, trying to figure out the best way to get past. I mean, that has been incredible stuff. But let's quickly take a look at our highlights. Well, we can show some of the amazing action that we just got to witness here at ERA, and it just brings home that huge excitement that we've just had on an incredibly fun and interesting race through it all, as we also get our drivers to come and have a chat to us as well. We're going to start bringing up our drivers into the commentary box and getting a little bit of thoughts on everything that's happened. And let's bring in the likes of Ernest Lumbriggs into the chat, as he was 3rd place in the race. Ernest, welcome to the commentary box. Absolutely well done on your part. And it's just a phenomenal run, but what a race to the end.
Yeah, I guess you could say I'm a 3rd place merchant.
Again, okay, fair enough.
2/10 off again. Unfortunate, but I guess I'll take it. Better luck in Silverstone maybe for a bit of a higher position, maybe.
Well, it is a high possibility, but you were in a race of note. It looked like at no point, even when it came after the pit stop, you were in fresh air. What was running through your mind, suddenly having people all around you and having to fight your way constantly? I mean, this is something we're starting to see more and more often as you're racing, that you actually getting into those big, hard brawls.
From the very start, I was expecting Nielsen to be in the fight. Like, even if I was technically faster, those 5 seconds are enough to put me behind him. And yeah, that's what happened. I ended up behind him. I kind of got pushed in the pit stop, so that cost me a bit of time. And yeah, through the second stint as well, being behind Nielsen, just hoping that the back markers could maybe change it up a little bit, because just on pure pace or overtaking ability, Donington is a really hard track, and yeah, he held it really well, and I mean, GG's to him. He managed to hold on.
Absolutely phenomenal stuff. And I mean, this has just been a wild ride. It's so far being round three of the championship. There's still so much to go on. You talked about Silverstone being a more positive one. You're feeling a bit more confident around Silverstone. Is it one of your better circuits that you feel that you can get the leg up on the competition?
I think, yeah, I feel pretty comfortable in Silverstone, and it's also a wider track, so there's more overtaking opportunities compared to Donington, for example. And yeah, I think if I do end up behind someone in Silverstone, I think there's a better chance of me overtaking them.
Oh, absolutely great stuff. Well, before I let you go to enjoy the champagne, that's very well deserved. I mean, point 0.2 of a second at the end of the line is no slouching effort at that point. I mean, you did your fastest lap time as you came across the line at 1 minute 27.027. Anything you'd like to say to all our partners here at ERA, to all the drivers and teams out there, and most importantly, I think you can agree with me, as we said every week, just our incredible petrol heads that lined Donington here today to just support, cheer, and absolutely went wild.
I mean, there's not much anything new to say. Same thing as I said last time, just do it for the fun. Don't try to make enemies. Just respect everyone, even if you are losing to the other guy. Just keep respectful, and that's why we're here.
Absolutely wonderful stuff. Ernest Lundbergs, well done on the stellar effort, and we look forward to seeing what you can do at Silverstone.
Thank you, thank you.
Oh, absolutely wild, wild stuff. Well, let's carry on with our drivers, but we've actually got a big one to come through, and that is going to be the big boss himself, and also a driver that got his teeth out a little bit more. Let's have a chat to Christian Fingler. Christian Fingler,
Hey man.
Welcome to the commentary box. Man, oh man, that was a race and a half.
Yeah, absolutely on this segment, I'm drenched. Just had a quick chat to Paul. I don't know if you catch it on stream, but we had a little off kiss. And once again, apologies for that. We already agreed it was kind of, or rather, more him agreed it was a racing incident. But it was an absolute stellar performance of him. I would have loved to race him more. And just generally, the pack was so tight today. When qualifying was done, I was looking at like 5 people in the bracket of 1/10 together. I was like, oh man, what are we doing here on that tight track?
It was incredible to watch and just to see it. But the entire racing action from start to finish, it looked like wherever you went, there was always someone to play with. Even after the stops where generally you see the grid starting to open up, it always looked rather busy out there. How was it navigating through the traffic as well as watching the positions around you? I mean, you had Sean Skitter, who was tailing you for quite a bit. You were close to Ben Hicks, who fell a little bit down from his starting order and was in for the fight as well. And the rest of the track tool team, like Nico Lawrence, must have been going absolutely ballistic on the radio as he was in an absolute banger of a fight.
Yeah, Nico certainly had some swell words left for that particular race. Just a little bit too much damage, but it's something that happens in the heat of the moment. You know, as you rightfully said, the track was so busy, and just you know, it's probably one of those few tracks where you come around there and you get stress, sweat on your forehead when you're looking towards the pit exit, and throughout the whole race, people were coming out of the pits like the entirety of the race, partially because of damage, but a lot of people played the strategy game, and for a good amount of them, it really paid out. Like, one to name is Rosolski. He gave me an absolute hard time to pass, but he overtook me in the pits, and then I had to fight back for that position. A brilliant move, really.
It was definitely a hard-fought fight to be out there on the podium, and great stuff for the Platinum. Looking forward to Silverstone, though. That's going to be a close one. Hopefully the temperature not through the roof like we've seen here at the beautiful track of Donington.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's a night race, so I expect that the temperatures will be rather on the chilly side. Yeah, let's see what it brings. It's certainly a more open track, better for overtakes. I'm just glad to have had the race, and then I'll focus on Silverstone tomorrow.
Oh, absolutely wonderful stuff. Well, before I let you go to enjoy the champagne with the team, and after that hard-fought fight, I'm sure you're going to go and definitely go and ting bottles with the likes of Roloski, who you had the fight with. Anything you would like to say to all the partners here at ERA, to all the drivers, the teams that come out on a weekly basis, but also, most importantly, all the absolute amazing petrol heads that line the circuit day in and day out, coming and supporting the drivers and being a part of the amazing action here at Evolution Racing Academy?
Well, just the usual. I'm super glad that you're here, super glad that you're watching, and without you, the whole racing wouldn't be what it is.
Absolutely phenomenal stuff. I see Paul Fenter came, went, disappeared. That's it. But thank you very much, Christian Fengler, for joining us here on the commentary, and well done on scoring some podium positions and some good points for the championship.
Cheers, man. Yeah, talk to you next week, hopefully.
Absolutely. Oh, fantastic. Christian Fengler, our big boss, coming in and having a chat to us, and also going and having a great fight out on circuit, fighting out with Rolotsky right for the podium. I mean, that is just wild stuff. Talking about a person that's gotten a podium, let's have a chat to the one, the only, Christoph Peterson. Man, you drove into next week in that one. How are you feeling?
Hey, feels good to be back. It feels like I haven't been here for an eternity, even though it was only one race. But yeah, I feel super happy. It was all went perfect for me.
One race too many, one would say. But man, oh man, that was a race off to the start. Good starts on your side, but how was it looking back at the field and seeing just everyone sitting there, this monster of 36 cars staring down at you?
Yeah, so I actually struggled slightly in the first stint for a few laps, but with Ernest having a penalty, I was just trying to do my thing there and maybe build a gap to Jens Nilsson. But in the second stint, where I was actually going a lot faster with the fresh tires and stuff, the blue flags became so important, and I really have to say the vast majority of them handled it really, really well. I came up to a train of like gold and platinum drivers, I think about like 10 minutes before the end of the race, and I thought, okay, that's like 10 cars or something that I have to get by now. But they let me by one after the other in very good spots. So yeah, thanks to everyone who was under blue flags and did that. That was really well handled.
Absolutely incredible stuff. And I mean, it's definitely a tough moment out there to keep going. Good points for the championship, though, and to try and move your way up through the order. Talking about it, though, looks like your competitors are a little bit more excited for Silverstone to come after you. What's your thoughts heading into the next round?
I'm pretty excited about it because although in a different car, like in the Honda, I gathered a lot of experience this week on LFM at Silverstone, and I feel pretty confident at the track. So I think it's the ideal track for me to have this 15-second success penalty. So maybe I can claw my way up to a podium there if I do everything well. Yeah, and I think like my main competitors, apart from Ernest, had like not the greatest of races. David Charlton and Ben Hicks. So it's kind of balanced now again. Like after my bad race at Kota, I think we're looking into an interesting fight in the championship now.
It's most certainly going to be a wild one. Well, before I let you go to enjoy the celebrations with the entire Logistical Nightmare Racing team and just all the amazing drivers out there, anything you'd like to say to all our amazing partners here at ERA, but also to all the teams, the drivers, and most importantly, the absolute petrol heads out all over the grandstands?
Yeah, maybe to all the drivers in ERA, don't give up, even if you had a bad race. This track was tough, really, really tough. Many people crashed, many people had problems. even if you had one bad race or two bad races, don't give up, carry on. You can always have a good race. The championship is not gone. Nothing is gone. We're only 3 races in. So keep racing, keep entertaining everyone who's watching, and have fun.
Most important one, have fun. It's the most important words that be said. Christoph, thank you very much for jumping in, and it's phenomenal to have a chat to you. Hopefully, don't make it too long till we have our next chat.
I agree. See you.
Cheerio. Oh, man, absolutely wonderful to chat to Mr. Peterson on it. But our next driver to come up and have a chat to us is a special guest who's done incredibly well and has really picked up the pace, going and scoring out some maximum points for his side. And that is going to be Tomo Malami, who the entire family has had a really, really rough time this past week. But Tomo, wonderful to have you here in the commentary box. And first of all, on behalf of everyone here at ERA, our hearts are out to you. Thoughts are out to the entire family. But what was accomplished here tonight in a very, very difficult situation to turn it around for the cyber racing team to score so many points, but also to come across the line in finishing out is definitely one to be proud of. And I think, fourth place is no slouch. There's no negative effort there. You showed a proper fight and carried over your family member's name across the line, not only just going and scoring the overall for your class, but also going and getting fourth overall.
Yeah, man, you're making me emotional here. Thank you for the kind words. It's been a tough week.
We understand that
this win means so much to me.
Well, it was a well-deserved win, that's for certain. I don't think there's anyone that's sitting in the grandstand, sitting in the cars, that would ever dispute the effort. And I think if it's any consolation to it, some say that you get that hand on your shoulder that helps guide you to get across the line, and that was most certainly your family doing so, to go for that win, even after some of the toughest racing that you've had. But it's been proper to see it out there. When it was coming up to that final lap, seeing where you were in the grid, what sort of emotion was running through your head? What was being said in your head? Or was it more of just a quiet prayer at that point?
Well, it was the last 3 laps, to be honest, just being nervous and get the package to home. It was a tough one, and I had the time. I've noticed that the fiercest competitors in Platinum were far behind, so I just tried to manage my pace there, but it was really tough to concentrate and getting emotional during the last laps there, and it was a great experience. So, yeah.
Well, to qualify where you did was incredibly well done. To charge your way up to the front, that Lexus did everything that you wanted it to do to gain the positions, to gain that run. You started in fourth, you ended in fourth, you led out your class right to the end, and that is tremendous stuff. And honestly, great celebration towards it. But before I let you go to enjoy the celebrations and to be with the family, is there anything that you would like to say to everyone out there? The floor's yours.
Yeah. First of all, thank you for the ERA people for making these events happen. It's great, great stuff you do here, and for everyone, cherish the time with your family, and you never know when it's the last day.
Well, I don't think it was the last day for your family. I think this is one that's always going to continue. You're always going to have that hand on your shoulder. And as I say, the family might be far in physical, but always close in your heart. Tomo Malami, to the entire Malami family from behalf of ERA, behalf of all the drivers, behalf of the entire world of sim racing, we behind you. Our thoughts and prayers are with you, and well done on the effort. You really have done him proud. You did your brother proud.
Thank you. Thank you.
Go and
Have a
enjoy.
good night.
You too. You too. Sure. Can't imagine the emotions running through the head. And honestly, I think there's a sense of pride coming in as well for doing such an incredible job. But all our drivers have done such a stellar job to get their cars across the line in a very tough race. Some difficult times out there. And it's always good to see everyone pushing themselves that little bit more. But as you heard, we are going racing at Silverstone next week, so make sure you tune in for that. A bit of a night race as well, so Maggots and Beckett's going to be a prime spot to go and set yourself up with your camper chairs and get ready to go. If you prefer the hanger straight, might be your option. Prefer not, so I would say more the Maggots and Beckett's. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you very much for joining us here at ERA. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that bell icon, and really just have a great time for all that's going. Let us know what was your favorite moment of the race. Leave us a like as well. It does help out with the algorithm. Go and share the link with everyone you can. Just copy and just send to everyone out on your WhatsApp, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, well, X, not instead of Twitter, but just make it out there to everyone as we are on the charge to go and get 500 subscribers. You heard me right. We are getting closer and closer to the 500 subscriber mark, and we can only get that done to bring some of the incredible action here at ERA, and that is because of you, the spectators, the drivers, the families, the absolute petrol heads that have gone and brought this all to light. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, most importantly, I'd like to say on behalf of myself, Stephen Koenig, it's been an absolute honor being out on the comms for you. We're looking forward to it. Make sure you head over to SimGrid, go to Evolution Racing Academy. We do have our endurance racing as well. We do also have our academy teaching sessions during the course of the week. Always welcome to learn, not how to throw your microphone around. That would be the better one. But it's been an incredible one from here at ERA. Make sure you go and keep an eye out on our server too as well. That's out there. We're currently on 248, and I'm going to put this challenge out to you, the subscribers, the viewers, the drivers, the teams. We need to get to 500 subscribers here on Evolution Racing Academy, making it a sim racing first that a teaching racing academy league is able to move up to 500 subscribers. So that is my challenge to you all, to get across this line. And let's see who's going to be able to make it work. But from myself here at THT Productions, my name is Stephen Koenig. And like always, you could say it with me, say it loud, say it proud. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, everybody.